The future. So cool, right? All of those amazing new innovations that are going to make life even better. Like, okay, wouldn't it be great if your car could change color to match your mood? Oh, wait, no, to match your outfit. Ooh, I think I would like that. Buick is thinking about the future every day. A future built around you with super smart Buick EVs that can make your life even better. And soothing spa-like interiors that can leave you feeling relaxed and refreshed. Wait, is that eucalyptus? Oh, believe me, the future smells incredible. And it's all out there waiting. So let's go to the future together. Want to go? Join us at Buick.com/future.
You're finally at that hot new spot, the one your friends keep raving about, sitting across from your date. It's going...
Another round?
Really well. And that dish you've been dying to try? Oh, it's headed your way. You can smell it, hear it sizzling fresh off that skillet as it comes closer, closer, and served. Go ahead, enjoy. After your phone sneaks a bite first. When you're with Amex, it's not if it's going to happen, but when. American Express. Don't live life without it.
Stand by. The vacuum tubes are warming up. This is a special live broadcast right here on Georgia Radio.
Well, good evening. You're here with me, Wade Peebles, on the Georgia Folk and Farm Life Radio Show on GeorgiaRadio.com. Get the app, My Georgia Radio, here with Matt Jolly, host, entrepreneur, master of ceremonies, MC, master of all trades.
What do y'all do around here?
Man of many hats. I was at a place of business one time, Matt, where it was a sawmill, a big prosperous sawmill, but it was owned by a family, and I was in there one day in the office, and they had they sell lumber and all in a showroom in there, and this guy had been working. A lady owned it. Her daddy had died and left it. And this guy had worked for her dad and then worked for her. And she, some sales rep came in and I was in there in the office getting some paperwork signed. And she instead of introducing him as with his job title, this is my man of many hats, so and so, and he got mad. And it was funny how angry he got. It was like he was our little token little picky boy, as my neighbor used to say.
A picky boy.
Yeah, he had he's like, I have a job title. I worked here long time, and I'm not your little man of many hats.
I'm not your man of many hats.
And it embarrassed her because she didn't mean anything by it. She was a sweet lady. He just took exception to the being called a man of many hats. And I thought, I was young and I thought, well, I wouldn't mind if she called me a man of many hats. I mean, anyway.
Hey, you're a man of many meats. Our thanks to Meeks Brothers Cattle Company tonight for sponsoring this show, right?
Listen, they're our sponsor and great people. It's good to have a sponsor that you really respect them at the way they're as a business, as a family, and their product and their commitment to all that family, America, great Americans, great family. And a great product. That's a winning combination right there.
It sure is. You can find them at Meeks Brothers Cattle Company.
There you go.
On Facebook. They are so American, they don't even have a website finished yet.
Yep.
They're getting it. Hey, I called you today. You were in the woods, and you were you were just getting ready to hop out of the truck and run out there and tighten your load down.
Strapping the load down
before you leave. But you and I talked. I'm going to show you a picture. That is who I've got on the show tomorrow, Mr. Webb Pierce Jr. And he's coming on tomorrow morning at 10 to talk about his late father's new album. They found some more Webb Pierce mastered recordings that have never been released.
Now, that has to be exciting for them.
It is exciting. He said,
if you're a Webb Pierce fan, that's great news.
Well, I wanted to talk about that because you shared a story about some Webb Pierce fans. And I just thought this had to come on your show tonight and be told because it's a funny story. And I may or may not have told Webb Pierce Jr.
You may or may not have shared this with Webb
in the
Pierce
pre-interview
Jr.
today. Yeah.
Yes.
I may or not. Would you share it with us here at the Georgia Folk and Farm Life radio show?
That's what I live for. Back in the 60s, and my parents went. They were big country music fans, and they'd go to shows. They
here we go
to go to Augusta to the Bell Auditorium to see Webb Pierce live in person on the stage. Webb Pierce, There Sits the Glass. That was one of his
his big hits. There Sits the Glass.
And Webb Pierce had owned the radio station in Swainsboro, WJAT, and in the era when they had the Peach State Jamboree, and many big names came there. And Webb Pierce was a great promoter, besides being a country musician himself. So they had decided to go to the Bell Auditorium in Augusta and see him on concert. Well, they came back rather disappointed that night from their trip to Augusta to hear Webb Pierce on stage at the Bell Auditorium.
He had been a little overserved, if I recall.
Evidently he didn't eat enough solid food.
Before he got out there.
Took a bit of adult beverage. And when he came on stage, evidently it was not an optimum performance. And right off the bat, there were a couple of cat calls and things. And one man told him to get off the stage, and Webb Pierce, they got into a verbal altercation. And in the middle of it, Webb Pierce just stopped, cocked his head to the side, put his hand to his ear like he was hearing something off in the distance. He says, "Shh, hush. I think I hear your mama barking."
No, he didn't. And
he did. And the man leapt from his seat, and it was on. And they went a big free-for-all and almost, as you say, a cut and scrape there. And so that was the end of the show before it really got started. And my parents were outraged.
Now, do you think your dad was outraged? Was he really outraged?
No.
Was he pretending to be outraged in front of your mother?
Mama was a Sunday school teacher, and Daddy had to be outraged on her behalf. And it was on Saturday night, and church was the next day. So they had to, they had to get swollen with outrage. Yeah, but it was. That's what I think of when I think of Webb Pierce. I think of Mom and Daddy going to Augusta, buying tickets to the Bell at the Bell Auditorium. Going to the Bell was a big deal.
It was a big deal, especially down there in Swainsboro. Well, listen, Webb Pierce, one of the most celebrated vocalists of the 1950s, and just to talk to a little bit about him, this is something I found interesting. He had more charting. Now, this is important. Charting #1 hits than similar artists, including Hank Williams, Eddie Arnold, Lefty Frizzell, and Ernest Tubb. So there you go. He was a big deal back then.
Yeah, there's just a few of the classic artists that we think of, and there were many others that in the day, I can remember many from my childhood that I don't hear of anymore, but they were big names back then. What was her name? Skeeter Davis?
Yeah, Skeeter Davis, yeah.
You never hear anybody mention her. But back then, she had a lot of hits. She was on the radio a lot.
Don't they know the world is ending because you're not here? And all of those big hits. It was something to that effect, yeah.
Right, and there were just so many like that. If you read the names now, you say, yeah, that's what I forgot about. Well, there are just a few that we remember that are household names today, 40, 50, 60 years later. But there had to be a great number that we tend to forget. Well, Pierce was one of the greats that we remember, but there was a lot that he would probably, if he was here, he'd say, "Well, what about so and so? Don't concentrate just on me. Think about we had a lot of people that were in his class."
You know what he'd probably say?
I hear your mama barking.
Y'all talking bad about me. He probably a cut and scrape down at the Bell Auditorium.
I thought it was such a. Now the Bell Auditorium is still in Augusta and has a show now, and it's been there a long time. It's when I was a kid, we saw Holiday on Ice and Ice Capades, and we saw
That was the time when it was, if it was good, it was better on ice.
That's right. They had those shows.
Yeah.
And I saw
you could put anything on ice.
Yeah, performers up there. Well, that's what Webb Pierce did that night.
Yeah, he put it on ice.
It was bourbon, I think.
Yeah, it must have been. Okay. All right, we can't pick on poor Webb anymore. He's not here to defend himself. But it's a good album. I heard the album, and it's a great album. And There Stands the Glass. It's on there, and it's a new recording of it.
A recording of it.
Yeah.
Well, if you've never heard it, that was a great old song. It was a classic country tune that Webb Pierce had, and it was. Listen, the 1950s and the early 60s, to my notion, was some of the best country music ever. Back when they had steel guitar.
Yeah.
And people drank a lot, and they ran around a lot in country music, you know. They did.
Well, that was the honky tonk.
Yeah,
I mean, it was really in vogue back then, you might say. But yeah, a lot of great songs. And we're trying to keep all that alive.
Loretta Lynn today. If you think about classic Loretta Lynn tunes, if you listen to the words, it's a little shocking that
it is.
The music from that era, it was about running around and cheating, and when in an era when running around and cheating and things were considered not good. Now it is. Things that were scandalous then were what the music. But I guess they had to have an outlet somewhere for that. That
Well, it was the birth of a genre for sure in that particular era.
Now talking about radio. Each day I listen to Sirius XM a lot.
We appreciate that. Thanks for bringing that up here, Wade. We appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, one day Georgia Radio will be available on there. But it predates Georgia Radio.
Yeah.
But I do listen to Georgia Radio, of course. But I listen to, and I don't listen to music on Sirius XM.
You don't have time for that out in the woods. You're listening to important things.
I listen to old time radio shows on Radio Classics. That's all I listen to. If I listen to Sirius XM, that's what's. And it has exposed me to not being a well-read individual that I am, and I know a little bit about a lot of things. I was familiar with many of the old time radio shows that were before my time. I'm familiar with a lot of things that predated my existence, but I get to listen to a lot of those old radio shows, and radio before television, and even it was only in 1964 before that was in the early 60s when the old time radio shows all pretty much went off the air.
Yeah.
But it was in the 40s and 50s. Now radio, some started in the late 30s, but it really hadn't come into its own as a vehicle for stardom. And there were some great movies were portrayed on Radio Classic. There was the first sitcoms, sports shows, like I say, but sitcoms.
Well, and game shows too.
Game shows, variety shows.
Stuff.
You had Jack Benny and Fred Allen, who were, by the way, Jack Benny. Now Jack Benny lived. I was a fan of Jack Benny when he was on TV in his older years. When I was young. Jack Benny portrayed a skinflint and a miser on all of his shows for years, but he portrayed that he was having a feud with Fred Allen. Fred Allen had a show like his variety show, but they were great friends. It was just part of the shtick, right?
Yeah,
and a publicity thing. But what I want to say about Jack Benny as a radio personality and television personality, and a movie actor. A comic movie actor. Jack Benny was one of the kindest and most generous men that the entertainment industry ever knew.
Well, he said really nice things about you too. And,
well, I'm glad he did.
Yeah.
But like, for instance, Rochester, that was a black character on his show. He in that era. Black performers were paid less. He insisted that he paid him more than most of his white employees on the show. When they traveled, if he couldn't stay at the hotel or eat with them, they would bring legal action against hotels and restaurants and things in that era. and that was almost unheard of. But Jack Benny was a kind and generous man in ways, and he portrayed himself just the opposite on his shows. And that says a lot about a man that can portray himself and let people think. Millions of people for generations think that he's one way, but actually he was just the opposite.
Yeah. That brings up a good point. Yeah. No, it is entertainment, and we often think of these people in their public persona, but you bring up a good point.
Character. That's right.
The character. But I'm here to tell everybody that Wade Peebles is just like he is on the radio when you meet him in person. But everybody here has met you in person. This is just a family gathering, and that's what's great about it. Can I get in a quick plug here? Because if people want to participate in this show, they can. If they're listening on the My Georgia Radio app, they can just push the button, and they can be on.
Mash the button.
Mash the button. Mash the microphone button at the bottom of the screen there, and you can be on. And you can even send Brother Wade a picture or whatever it is that you want to do. You can do that and send it right over, and it's right there at the bottom of the screen. So pretty easy to do, right, Wade?
It is easy. We're about halftime now.
We better sell some meat. What do you say?
That's right. I agree with that.
We'll be right back with more Georgia Folk and Farm Life right after this.
Hi, this is Wade Peebles from Georgia Folk and Farm Life Radio. I'm here to tell you about Meeks Brothers Cattle Company. And you don't have to worry about supply chain issues or where your beef comes from. Do what I do and call Meeks Brothers Cattle Company today. You can get a whole, half, a quarter, any amount of beef you want. Good quality beef, vacuum packed, lasts up to 3 years in your freezer. It's grass-fed, grain-finished, made to order. Visit Meeks Brothers Cattle Company on Facebook today and tell them Brother Wade sent you. And that's Meeks Brothers Cattle Company. Thank you.
I know you can hear me, and so can your customers. Lots of people don't take kids seriously. Well, listen up. Advertising on Georgia Radio is seriously easy and affordable. Visit georgiaradio.com/advertise, or better yet, call the station. So let's talk. Your customers are listening, and so is my mom. Hi, Mom.
The future. So cool, right? All of those amazing new innovations that are going to make life even better. Like, wouldn't it be great to have a car that changes color to match your mood? Oh, wait, even better, your outfit. Buick is thinking about the future every single day. A future built around you. With super smart Buick EVs that can make your life even better. And it's all out there waiting. So let's go to the future together. Join us at Buick.com/future.
You're finally at that hot new spot, the one your friends keep raving about, sitting across from your date. It's going...
Another round?
Really well. And that dish you've been dying to try? Oh, it's headed your way. You can smell it, hear it sizzling fresh off that skillet as it comes closer, closer, and served. Go ahead, enjoy. After your phone sneaks a bite first. When you're with Amex, it's not if it's going to happen, but when. American Express. Don't live life without it.
All the best country.
Georgia Radio. Everywhere you go.
Hello. Well, we're back with you from the break, and this is Wade Peebles with Matt Jolly here on Georgia Radio, and you're listening to the Georgia Folk and Farm Life Radio Show, brought to you by Meeks Brothers Cattle Company. Great family company.
Good stuff.
Well, a while ago, we were talking about, I was, before the show, you and I were talking, and I was telling about an incident with a doctor, and the one part of what I was said, it reminded me of a funny story, and I've been racking my brain trying to think what it was.
We were talking about casts.
Right, but it reminded me of something even
funnier than the guy getting his arm cut?
Yeah, but I've been trying to think... In the whatever the story was, it's like, I don't think it's supposed to do that. Oh, yeah, it's always supposed to do that. But it was wrong. But anyway, that story, you want me to tell that story?
Yeah, well, you want to think about it for a second in case you can tell the funnier one?
It might come to me later.
Let's talk about Inman Farm Days. I went out there to Mentors Farms. And let me tell you, that was just incredible. I mean, it was really, really incredible. I couldn't believe all the people.
Into it.
They do. And I mean, people come from all over creation to get there.
Well, the Benner family puts this is a year's work every year, or year. In fact, many years' work, because each year they add to it. But they have a great, from what I've seen, I've been unable to go, a great place, venue, and a great attendance, and some faithful people that like to, every year they look forward to going. And I hope maybe next year I can go.
I think next year we ought to do a show from there.
That would be good.
They don't have an old time radio booth there. They have everything else. They've got a broom shop, and they've got a printing press, and they've got, oh my goodness, a machine shop to see, and everything is set up in period appearance. So when you walk out there, it looks like turn of the century farm. It's just a phenomenal experience. Had a syrup boil going, and they had some of the old timers out there scraping the top of it off, and they were cooking sorghum syrup. They had a still set up in the woods with an old moonshiner car out in front and a cabin. I mean, it was really great. It was just it was well done. A lot of vendors out there and just a lot of great stuff. The Parade of Power was probably my favorite, with all the old
trucks.
Well, tractors, old tractors and bulldozers and all kind of stuff that was out there.
Yeah, I love the tractors, but I'd like to see the crawler tractors especially.
They had a couple of them out there.
My family was, in that business. So.
Well, I'm a fan of two different old tractors. I really we've got an 8N, but everybody's got an 8N. But I have always had my eye on Graham Bradley, that you could, one of the ones you bought out of the Sears and Roebuck catalog. Yeah. But I also like the Oliver Rowcrops, and they had a beautiful 80 out there. Just a lot of fun. And by the way, I'm going to be there, come hell or high water, to the Antique Ag show that's going on at the Perry, Georgia National Fairgrounds in November. So I know you missed this one, but that's a little bit closer to home. Maybe you can drive a log truck up and we can meet up there and have some fun out there, because that's a fun show too. But nothing like Inman. I mean, Inman's is just that is incredible.
You mentioned the Sears, David Bradley, and
Graham Bradley. Yeah.
David Bradley was a Sears thing, but Sears, was a unique institution, and I thought it would be with us forever, but it went so quickly. I think through mismanagement, there's still a place for Sears had it been, if they could have seen the future. Now it's hard to fault people when quick changes happen in any industry, and retailing changed when online retailing came. But Sears started in the late 1800s, I think, in Chicago there, and it's Sears and Roebuck, and they sold watches and things. But they made those watches. They made the tools. They made the thing. They made all the stuff they sold. They made it, and they had many different brand names. Allstate and David Brown or David Bradley, whichever, the Sears tractors and things like chainsaws. But they had Sears sold entire houses and barns.
Yeah, you used to be able to buy your cottage.
You could buy a cottage or a small barn. You could buy there was a barn here in Emanuel County that was like the typical Dutch barn, a hay barn over near Summertown. And it was a Sears. Well, it was destroyed by a tornado a few years ago, and then has been rebuilt, but just in a plain barn style. But it was a local landmark. Everybody knew that was a Sears barn. And some of the big old classic colonial or Victorian 2- and 3-story homes in some towns, those are also Sears houses. And they would saw the whole house out, every piece, and it would come on the railroad.
Isn't that incredible?
And a local carpenter would be hired to erect it, and it was all pre-cut and pre-done. And then it would come with all the buckets of paint and the paint brushes and everything you needed for that house came. And you didn't have to go to Builder Supply and buy it. It came with the barrels of nails, the screws, and kegs. It was complete, the roofing material, everything from the foundation up. And they sold, tractors. Sears actually sold automobiles in the 1920s. It was the Allstate automobile.
They had their own line, yeah. It wasn't white labeled.
Later, the Henry J. You ever heard of the Henry J. automobile? Was in they in the post-war era, they went back into the automobile, and the Henry J. Kaiser was a great shipbuilder and industrialist during World War II. He helped really build a lot of the war materials, and Kaiser Permanente came from his company, that healthcare. But Henry J. Kaiser decided that most all the other things he was in to build automobiles after the war. And it didn't last but a few years, but he got hooked up with Sears, and there were several years you could buy a Sears Allstate car once again in the early 50s, and it was actually Henry J. repackaged as a Sears Allstate. But Sears made everything from tools to shotguns and 22s and knives and every tool or thing you can imagine for the house. And it was an amazing operation, just their manufacturing capacity.
Amazon was kind of taken over in that regard.
Yeah, but so Sears sold a lot of catalog from catalog, but they had some great stores too. And it's a shame that their catalog, they didn't carry on with the catalog and the electronic retailing.
Right. We had a Sears catalog store that came to town down there in little old South Texas where I lived. And I remember I wanted to order a model airplane. And I saw it in the catalog, and I thought, this is going to be great. So I rode my bicycle down to the store, and I was going to order it. And the lady looked at me, and she said, well, okay, we've got the order, and you can pay for it right here. And I said, great. And I paid for it. And I really, in my head, I had walked into this store. I was expecting it to just be there.
Be there, yes.
And she said, well, we'll have it here in about 2.5 weeks.
And you were...
And here I am with beaten out of my money.
Sore disappointed.
Yes, sorely disappointed. I think it took longer. And then I had to ride back down there and pick it up.
Which reminds me, Matt, do you remember the age of allow 6 to 8 weeks for delivery?
Yeah. Yeah, 6 to 8 weeks.
Today, this day.
Yeah.
Now, usually it didn't take 6 to 8 weeks, but sometimes it would take several weeks. I ordered 2 pair of Carhartt pants Thursday, I think, and I got the free shipping. It was supposed to be here the 25th, and they came today.
Yeah.
But that's pretty impressive. But,
well, your Irish buddies, they know how to get to your house quickly.
Yeah, that's right. They know.
Keep the wheels greased for you.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's fun. Did you think of your story? Because everybody's waiting for the story. Do you want to go ahead and tell it now?
I can't remember the other one that was, had a similar. I don't think it's supposed to do that. But.
Yeah. Well, I thought of something. We need to have Mr. Mentor on this show to talk about his farm days.
Oh, yes, we do.
And he's an administrator on a little thing called Georgia Folk and Farm Life.
And Farm Life, yes.
Yeah, he's got a Christmas tree farm out there and all kind of great stuff. I truly had a good time out there. It was just a lot of fun. You'll have to have him back on. All right, tell the cast story. Our last minute and a half.
Yeah, we mentioned somebody that had when I was in high school, we had a lot of doctors around this area. One was known to take a drink, now and then, and he was a great
theme
doctor.
On tonight's show.
Yeah,
apparently.
it is. It's everybody drank a little too much back in the day, and but he was very sure of himself, and you didn't argue with this old doctor. He was, he would use an adult language along with an adult beverage, even with children. He's a great doctor, and we loved him, but he was intimidating. And a friend in school had broke his arm and had a cast on his arm, and they used that circle saw to saw it,
right,
the cast off, and he started sawing the boy's cast, and he said, "Oh, you cut my arm." Or it just always feels like, supposed to feel like, it always feels like, it feels like you're cutting my arm. Oh, I ain't cutting your dang arm. Hush, hold still. It really feels like you're cutting my arm. Hush, well, it always feels like that. It got about 3/4 down and the blood started pouring.
Oh, come on.
The cast.
What did he say?
He lost his arm. The boy had one arm.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. Just kidding, but he did. He just cut the skin. From one end to the other, he had this little little cut. It cut just the skin, barely cut it, and it bled. And he had a fine little white scar down his arm, and it was his red badge of courage. You know, he showed that all for years.
Well, so what did the doctor say?
It'd be $75, I think.
Yeah, to stitch it back up. You got to stitch it right back up.
Probably that's gonna cost you $20 more. You know, yeah.
He had to stitch it back up. You know, I mean, that's just the way it goes. Ah, goodness gracious, Wade Peebles. Well, so what's coming up on Georgia Folk and Farm Life? In the we got one more minute here. What's coming up?
We've got Chris Pinard, the auctioneer, coming up soon. We've got Harvey Williams coming up again soon. We've got Tanya Bonatadibus, the Savannah River keeper, coming, and she's been a little under weather, and so she's fine. She just had a little cough, and it's hard to do the radio. So just as soon as she says she's ready, we're going to have her on. So and we'll have Rick Minner on. So we've got just some great folks that's waiting in the wings to come on for the show.
I've got to run out to California, and then I'm going to come back to Georgia just as quick as I can. I got to get, well, you know, it's working season.
Got to pay the bills.
I got to go work. Yeah, I got to go work for the Mouse here. Not this week, but next week. This weekend it's Miramar, and then the following weekend it's the big LA show with the Mouse. So
that'd be great.
It'll be fun. All right, let's see here. Georgia Folk and Farm Live on Facebook. And be sure, if you're not already a member, to apply for membership. It's free, it's easy, and there's only about 63 questions you have to answer to get into the group.
Yeah. No, you don't have to answer any question. No, you don't.
You know?
And you could, and you should get and you should jump through the hoops. You have to jump through the hoops and hurdles to get the My Georgia Radio app.
Yeah, you need to go download the app. But sign up for Georgia Folk and Farm Life today with 80 plus thousand of your best friends on there on Facebook.
We need you.
Yeah, get on there and share some stories.
Well, thank you everybody for and I've highlighted Ralph Chapman as a member this week and thanked him. But we have great members that make it a great place. And Ralph's one of our better writers and just a genuine good guy. And there's nothing phony about Ralph Chapman. He's a great guy. But listen, thank y'all all for listening. Thank you, Meeks Brothers Cattle Company, for making this possible, and Matt for making Georgia Radio possible. Listen to Georgia Radio and go to My Georgia Radio app and get it and listen. Yeah, listen to us on the podcast. Listen to our next show.
Yeah, and just before we go, we talked about Swap Shop. We're trying to bring Swap Shop back, and that's coming back. We're trying to get it on Wednesday. So if you got something to buy, swap, or sell, leave us a message on the app window. Ms. Ruth, I bring that up because Ms. Ruth's got a new bicycle for sale that I saw for $125.
It's her birthday yesterday, I think. Happy birthday, Miss Ruth.
She's trying to sell her bicycle. So if you need a bicycle, call Ms. Ruth. She's got a brand new. I can
promise you, if Ms. Ruth's got a bicycle, it's brand new and not been used.
Yeah, I don't know if it's hers or if it's her late husband's.
If it was Mr. Al's, it was new too, because they like me. It'd be like me having a bicycle for sale. You need to be sure it's new and good condition.
New and in good condition. There you go. Well, you call Ms. Ruth if you want a bicycle. All right, Brother Wade.
My bicycle will be better in better condition than I am. You know what I'm saying?
Because of the condition you're in, bicycle almost new.
Yeah.
All right. See you later.
All right. Enjoyed it, everybody. Thank y'all. See you on the radio. See you on the road. And I'll see you on Facebook. Hi, this is Wade Peebles from Georgia Folk and Farm Life Radio. I'm here to tell you about Meeks Brothers Cattle Company. And you don't have to worry about supply chain issues or where your beef comes from. Do what I do and call Meeks Brothers Cattle Company today. You can get a whole, half, a quarter, any amount of beef you want. Good quality beef, vacuum packed, lasts up to 3 years in your freezer. It's grass-fed, grain-finished, made to order. Visit Meeks Brothers Cattle Company on Facebook today and tell them Brother Wade sent you. And that's Meeks Brothers Cattle Company. Thank you.
All the best country.
Georgia Radio. Everywhere you go.
The future. So cool, right? All of those amazing new innovations that are going to make life even better. Like, wouldn't it be great to have a car that changes color to match your mood? Oh, wait, even better, your outfit. Buick is thinking about the future every single day. A future built around you with super smart Buick EVs that can make your life even better. And it's all out there waiting. So let's go to the future together. Join us at Buick.com/future.
Ohio needs nurses now. Xavier University is offsetting the demand by offering individuals with non-nursing bachelor's degrees an accelerated path to the profession. With locations in Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Columbus, our ABSN program enables adult learners like you to earn a respected Bachelor of Science in Nursing in 16 months. So what are you waiting for? There's no better time than now to step up and become a nurse. Search Xavier ABSN to apply.